All right, we'll do questions to start with.
So, I think on Wednesday, the defense had 3 or 4 turnovers, and the offense comes back and has a great day on Thursday. How important is it to have that kind of that balance in that back and forth?
Yeah, that's what you want. I mean, I think we've all, been a part of teams as long as I've done this that, the offense goes out and has, dominates every day, or the defense dominates every day, or, and then you get worried, and, there's a confidence issue that starts to happen, and, with really everybody associated with the program. And so what I like about this team is that, as you pointed out, practice 4, was a great practice for the defense. I felt like practice 6 was a really good practice for the offense. Felt like today there were moments when we went against each other, particularly early in skill, where the offense was really good, and then 2-minute, the defense dominated. And so that's what you want to see. I think the one thing that we need to be able to do is, when we have a bad period, or the offense makes a couple of plays, defense makes a couple of plays, the side of the ball that's not having success has got to do a better job probably of getting over it. You'd like for the periods to change instead of the days, if you can. And so, when you get on your heels a little bit, there's an art to getting off your heels, and kind of settling in and refocusing. And so I think that's something we're still learning. But I do love the competitive aspect of practice, and I am really pleased with the fact that, one side of the ball will have a good day and the other will have a good day and answer the call. And then, we'll scrimmage tomorrow and have a really kind of pretty good idea of kind of where we're at to an extent. So I'm excited about that. I think our players are excited. We went a little bit light today to try to save our legs and be as fresh as we can for tomorrow. And try to get a bunch of good work, and we'll go live. We went live on, I don't know, the days of the week. We went live on practice 6, and then, a little bit lighter today, and we'll go live again on practice 8.
As you, at the beginning of the year, when you start to draw up what fall camp looks like,
Yeah.
you also kind of, in your mind, say, this is where I want to be, where I want us to be after 7.
Yeah.
And are you there?
Yeah, I think it's a little early yet, what I'm saying, honestly, to answer that question just as straightforward and as honest as I can. There's been times where I feel like that. There's been some times where I feel like we got to improve in some things. But again, what I like from this group has just been the effort's been consistent. Yeah, and some of the frustration that happens naturally sometimes is with the young players. You go, God, we look bad, we did this, we turned the ball over, and then you look and it's, some young guys that are doing it. And so you just have to keep it all in perspective. But I think the most important thing that I like is I do think we're getting better, and I think that's ultimately the most important thing, is that you leave the field a little better than you took it. And, when you go and look at 7 practices in, I'm confident that we've done that.
When you think about some of the young guys that have stepped into some big roles here,
Yeah.
who stood out to you? How beneficial is it to have most of them getting on campus in January?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. It's huge. Now, the guy that's probably made the biggest impact, honestly, has been Jacoby, and he wasn't here. But the guys that have been here, I mean, they're almost like veterans. You get the guys like Ed Small, and, and you start looking at Ed, and you're kind of like, well, I mean, he's been here for 3 years, and he hasn't, but he's been here since January. But he's one of those guys who just learns so much and adapts so quickly. Kind of the same thing with some of the young O linemen, some of the young D linemen as well. So, yeah, having that spring semester, I think, is really, really critical. It seems like that's the way this stuff's going when it comes to recruiting and what these kids want to do, and I think it makes sense. The traditionalist in me always, just from an experience standpoint for the kids, they don't get that last semester of high school, which, from a non-football standpoint is can be a pretty memorable time for a young person's life. But from a football standpoint, I mean, it's gold. It really is. It's a big deal to have those guys here in the spring, and it truly gives them a chance to play early. And the first example I saw of that really that was huge was Jared Goff. At Cal, he graduated early and went through spring ball, and and coming out of spring ball, he was like, down the depth chart a little bit, but had already moved his way up. And so I think he believed, okay, I might be able to do this. And we started to go, okay, this guy might be able to do it. And then, won the job in the fall. And so, had he not graduated early, I doubt he would have played as a true freshman, which would have set him on a completely different path, probably.
And he talked about this the other day when he was with us, the camaraderie, cohesiveness, whatever you want to call it, among the staff.
Yeah.
He just said it just feels.
Yeah, it does.
Right now. Can you speak to, because he could talk about the defense, and he want to talk about the offense, because you got some new faces over there.
Yeah, we do. I do. I do think that's probably the most underrated thing, inside of a program that really people don't know is just staff alignment, belief in each other, because it just permeates to everybody. If your staff's not aligned and they don't feel confident in what's going on every day, then you're not going to be able to get where you want to go. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like I talked about from a program standpoint. I mean, if you're not aligned at the chancellor and athletic director position in the head football coach, you're going to have problems. It's just not going to work because this is just such a competitive environment. And so many people have worked so hard and tirelessly to become aligned. And it's the same thing within the building. You just have to have everybody pulling the rope the same way, or you're never going to be as good as you can be. And that's what we talk to our players about all the time, and really to the coaches about all the time is, our job is to reach our potential. And what is that? I mean, who knows? But that's our job, is to get there. And oftentimes it's a lot better than you think it is if you'll just do the things to give yourself a chance to do it. So yeah, the guys like each other, they respect each other, they work well together. I think there's no agendas, and I think that it pays off.
One of the new faces you added to the room was Corey Coleman. So what type of impact has he kind of made?
Yeah, obviously Corey was a heck of a player. Had kind of played in a semblance of this offense at Baylor. It's a little different now than it was then, but similar. He speaks the same language as Kendall and a lot of the guys in the room, and I think that's really important. And obviously he's got a great track record. He's a really good communicator, got a good demeanor with kids. Has been a really good recruiter for us. I mean, he's going to be a good coach. I mean, he's, for a guy that hasn't done it, he seems like he's done it for a long time. I think it comes natural to him because he's got the demeanor for it, and he's got a kind of a quiet confidence about him that I think those players pick up on. And obviously knowledge of the game. He's got great knowledge of football and what it takes to play the position. When you look at he and Malcolm, those are two really good players that have transitioned into two good coaches. And that's not always the case. We used to laugh about at Texas Tech when Dana and I were there. We were two not good players that were trying to be good coaches. You know what I'm saying? It always helps when a guy, has the kind of success that Malcolm had or Corey had.
Which Kobe, I think it was a late addition to the class.
Yeah.
I guess how pleasant of a surprise did you been with him?
Yeah, what's funny is kind of what we expected once we got to know the kid a little bit. He kind of came on the scene late in the recruiting process, and he's a guy we just kept watching. We came to our camp, and we were kind of like, whoa, who's this guy? This guy's ultra competitive. He starred really at both sides of the ball. He was probably the best corner at the camp and didn't play corner. And obviously did a great job at receiver and just got on the radar there once we got to know what kind of kid he was and then saw him produce. That's the thing about it is sometimes you go, well, we'd like to have somebody a little taller. We'd like to have a little more measurables or whatever. But then, this really, really good player presents himself and you kind of are like, I don't know. You kind of kick the can down the road. And again, it kind of goes back to what we did at Wes Welker. We signed Wes after signing day at Texas Tech. He signed nowhere on signing day. Was probably going to go to Panhandle State. Came in and obviously the rest is history from him. But they're very similar in the fact that neither one of them ever take a lazy step on the practice field. You know what I mean? I think that's been the big thing about Jacoby is he knows one speed, full speed. He competes hard on everything. I'll be shocked if the first play of the game against North Carolina, he's not playing, either covering a kick or on kickoff return in some capacity. He's just that kind of kid. I mean, he's just going to go. You tell him what to do, and he does it. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's very appreciative to be here. He's strong, he's fast, he's athletic, he can jump, he's got good hands, he's competitive. I mean, all the things. He's young, and he's going to make some mistakes, and we're trying to teach him. But he's got a really good feel for playing football, So I'm really pleased with him. He's been everything we thought he would be, and then some.
Well, just got injury. You got an injury update on Marcus and Mike?
Yeah. So Marcus will have practice tomorrow. He's fine. Mike, we're kind of looking at him. He spent 2 nights in the hospital. He's out. He's moving. He's walking around. My hope is he'll be at practice tomorrow, and then we'll kind of see what the long-term prognosis is. I don't think any of us know that completely at this point. So we're hoping that he can, make a full recovery, and we'll see.
Were you, was there an evaluation of that process after Mike got hurt?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let me just say this. I thought our medical staff did an incredible job. I think they, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. They treated it as a serious injury, which a lot of times, as a coach, you're just kind of like, well, I mean, because most of the time they're not, and I think in this case, it could have been a bad situation. And David Gable and his staff and Dr. Kirk, they were incredible, what they did and how they handled it. Mike was fantastic. I mean, he was very calm. I think he felt a real sense of confidence in what they were doing and how they were doing it. So that part I thought went as smoothly as possible. I was a little concerned with some of the response time, that I think we'll get that. There's a conversation I think going on. It kind of levels above me to ensure that the response time gets a little bit better.
I don't know if you
From the emergency staff. Yeah.
Did you see what happened at the end of that NFL game?
I didn't see it. No.
So in 6 minutes left of the game, there was an injury similar to that.
Yeah.
And they stopped the game.
Yeah. I think certainly in a preseason game, I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah. And it's like with us. I mean, as I said, 9 times out of 10, those injuries aren't very serious, and the precaution that you take is not really necessary, but you're happy that you take it in the 10% where it matters. And I think in this case, it matters.
Anything else?
Okay. Thank you, guys.